as a volunteer for a Center Against Domestic Violence, we had a shelter. I wore a pager. I would go down to the shelter, make a pot of coffee at 3 o'clock in the morning, and talk to some woman who just gotten beaten up by her husband or her boyfriend, and try desperately to get her to think about coming to our shelter. And 9 times out of 10, they would go back. It was very, very frustrating work. But we had to keep our location secret because we knew that the boyfriends and the husbands might very well try to come murder us. So, you know, I have a lot of empathy for the second wave feminist movement and a lot of emotional ties to it. I remember when Mary Tyler Moore shows started airing and she was a single woman going to work and people were upset about it, and then women started wearing pantsuits. Pantsuits started off as a big full long skirt with a little split in the middle. And people were upset about this because women were starting to dress like men. And those were our conversations of the day. They were stupid. And we were just fighting for, you know, any sense like this is my body, I should be able to dress it any way I want. So I totally get why that was important. But the thing is that second wave feminism really got stuck on this whole idea of being a victim. So if you notice, none of that is about my body, my pleasure. It's all about my body, the pain that you've been causing me. These issues were very important, but we got stuck. We got stuck on that. So in 1966, Betty Friedan becomes the president of the National Organization for Women. In 1973, Margot St. James starts Coyote, Call Off Your Old Tired Ethics, which is a prostitutes' rights organization. So women were getting organized again in 2 camps that aren't really talking to each other. And then we start off with the feminist sex wars. And the feminist sex wars is where we are today, guys. We have not progressed since the late 70s. The late 70s is when we started having these wars. They were around anything to do with sex. It was around BDSM. It was around transgender issues. It was around prostitution. It was around pornography. Anything that would embrace pleasure and get us out of that whole victim mentality was rejected by the second wave of feminists. And so there was a split between the so-called sex-positive feminists and the anti-pornography feminists. So the people who dominated the discussions really had the academic backgrounds. So you got like Catherine McKinnon and Andrea Dworkin. Andrea Dworkin had defined rape as an erect penis. So there was actually a very extreme faction that was getting a lot of press and a lot of ability to connect with the legal structure. And so then we get this whole thing about protecting women. Now, one of the reasons this takes off so well is because of the fact that it was a total buy-in to the patriarchy already. So we had this whole system where women shouldn't jog and they shouldn't vote and they shouldn't have anything to do with money because they were too delicate and we had to protect them. The feminist movement comes along and now we're too delicate to fuck. And they got stuck there. And yeah, okay, it's true that a lot of times we did not have a voice to stand up for things like date rape. And it's true that they had the battered woman syndrome through domestic violence. But to continue to infantilize females and stay stuck there, it was just the most anti-feminist thing you could do. And that's where we're at today. I literally, there was Nadine Strawson, a prominent feminist speaker. I was doing a keynote at Kent State University about 10 years ago. And she approached the professor who had me flown in. Said, I want that woman taken off this roster. She is a working sex worker, and sex workers should never be allowed to speak for themselves. I love what Betty Dodson has to say about this. She says, by the 1980s, women began to see themselves as victims, an idea that led to a well-funded organization called Women Against Pornography, otherwise known as WAP. Instead of determining what they wanted to get out of sex, these misguided feminists criticized what men were looking at while they masturbated. As if it was any of their business. Censoring porn was a destructive move for feminism. It put us in the same bed with religious bigots who have always fought against equal rights for women. Love that quote from Betty. Now, the picture that I have up here is from the New England College. 10 years ago, I was speaking there. I was doing a keynote at New England College. They had flown me in and they were paying me. And I was told that morning as they were escorting me to the auditorium that we were going to have to try to avoid the protesters. Now, these protesters look pretty innocuous to me because I'm from San Francisco. I'm like, that's all you got? They look so cute. But I had envisioned the kind of protesters I'd been out protesting the Gulf War with. So I thought, oh, they're going to lay down the streets and we're going to be militant. So, but they weren't. They were just cute. But what's interesting about this, these are the feminists and the Republicans. So what we have is exactly what Betty Dodson is talking about. We have an alignment of the second wave feminist movement with conservatives. They're literally in bed with each other now. And you know, I had thought, where did we go wrong? Where did we go wrong? But really, you know, when you start studying the history of feminism, it's right there at the inception. It's right there at the inception when they start aligning themselves with the social purity movement. And when I can picture people like Melissa Farley or Andrea Dworkin with that Victorian dress up to their necks, it makes it more bearable somehow. So what's really going on here is the whore Madonna complex. We are still stuck on that. We've never progressed past that. The feminist movement has never properly addressed this. And so we've got still a division between the good girls and the bad girls. And it's a very dangerous thing because it creates this infighting and this division. We're not able to create political alliances with each other. And it has really subtle overtones, which I'm going to be discussing in a breakout session here at this conference. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about it now, but one of the really important things to know about the whore Madonna complex is that each and every one of us, no matter how much we think we have overcome that, haven't really. And it affects all of us, men, women, transgenders. It affects all of us. We are affected by the whore Madonna complex. It is like one of the most basic tenets of our Western culture. We've got basically the mother of Jesus, and we've got the great whore of Babylon. And this is the things that we've cut our teeth on. And even if you've never read the Bible, never been to church a day in your life, it is still in the culture. And the idea is that somehow or another, when you cross that line, you have, well, you're in hell. Or you're going to be. So what's very interesting to me, you know, the pop star Madonna went all out, man. She built that book called Sex. She was showing the BDSM stuff. She put herself on a cross. She's been very irreverent, insulting the church, doing all kinds of horrible things. And then she got pregnant. And all of a sudden, she got rid of the red lipstick. She got rid of the bustiers. She put, I saw her wearing a whole bunch of stuff up to here, and pastel lipsticks, and soft little blonde locks. And I was like, well, Madonna transformed herself into the mother of Jesus. Now, only for a short time. But it's very interesting how difficult it is for women to figure out how to be a mother and a whore at the same time. And as a former escort myself, and a former stepmother, and a former wife, and I was doing all of those things simultaneously, I can tell you that society has a huge problem with it. Huge problem with it. My husband almost lost visitation of his children. We were in court for 2 years. I had to stop doing television as a prostitute. I had to stop writing as a prostitute. Our lawyer hired an expert witness who swore to God that former prostitutes made excellent mothers. The social worker came to our house to watch every move we were making. It was just very, very insulting because while all this is going on, we're under the microscope, the natural mother of the children was dealing crystal meth out of the basement. But we were the evil people.